23:687, formal action will be taken.
So move all of them? Oh, no, I thought you was going. I thought.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, now we're going to take councilmember formal action item by item.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, let's move with item number 1.
Item number 1 is a resolution to amend calendar year 2023 budget, which has been approved but not yet adopted. It's a finance resolution 23:684.
So move, discussion?
Moved by Councilwoman Davila, second by Councilman Velez. Discussion on item number 1. Councilman Velez.
Through the chair to CFO, can you show us where's the amendment at? In this budget from the last time to now?
You want to know what amendments were made?
Yeah, from the last time to now. I know it's on the desk, but can he highlight which one are criticals? And
I'm going to read them all.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to read them
Oh,
all
you
into the
gonna read them
record. I have to read them all into the record.
That's after we vote, before we vote?
Before you vote.
Okay, go ahead.
No, this is the time.
Thank you, Councilman Velez. Any other question, council members?
No,
Okay.
no, we're in discussion before the vote, so this would be the
Yes.
time
no,
for him to
exactly.
quote it.
Right, we're voting today.
Yeah, that's why, because you
We
could
tell
read it. you could
council
read it-
members, we take formal action. I open the floor for discussion.
Right.
Councilman
Yeah.
Velez asks a
Yes.
question, and that's the reason why. If any other council member
Even though
has
you
any.
even though you gotta
Okay.
read it,
information
even though
now.
you are mandatory to
Councilman
read
Velez.
it before the vote.
I do have to read them all into the, so if we're ready, I can start, Madam Clerk.
No, hold on.
Council members.
What I want is, what I want
Councilman Velez
is,
has the floor. Councilwoman, give me a second. I know. Councilman Velez?
You should have started it by him reading.
though you had to read all of them, right? But we amending, right? Which one was the most critical that you had to amend and why?
Okay,
Thank
so
you, Councilman
highlights.
Velez. And Mr. Silva, before we continue, before we continue the conversation, I want you to read it and go over to the entire, and
Correct, that's
just
what I want.
illustrate it, change it, and then we'll open the floor. You next, Councilman Abdelaziz.
No, but just real quick, and this is something important to highlight to my colleagues, is he's going to read a lot to the public. One thing you want to look at, resolution number 1, look at section 6. We are amending the amount raised by taxes from 171 million to 170
So we're
million.
down.
It's going down.
That's what I'm saying.
The public's not going to hear that when he reads
That's
all these numbers. This is an amendment that is
That's why I'm-
very, very good,
Correct.
and I'll let him, but I want to put that on the record, Council President.
Thank you.
Number 6 is decreasing
Correct.
an amendment of what is raised by the local taxpayer.
That's why I said.
Thank you, Councilman Velez.
Council President,
I
that's why I
understand that,
said
but-
the more critical and benefit to the community, he explained it the way I want to hear it. That's
Go ahead, Mr. CFO.
You're welcome, Councilman
You got the
Velez.
floor.
Thank you, my friend.
Important highlights from the amendment. We're amending additional state aid. We received $8,355,000 from the state for capital items. We're amending 2 grants, one for PD, one for New Jersey Healthcare. We're amending the municipal tax. It's going down from 168 to 167. Those are the highlights.
Here it is.
Council President,
Councilwoman Mims.
so, Mr. CFO, can you quote to the viewing public what will be the tax increase? Even though there's a reduction,
Here is the addendum.
the tax increase previously was 2.9%, now it's 2.5%, correct?
That is correct.
So there is a tax increase. Even though there's a decrease, there is still a tax increase to our residents of 2.5, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you, Mr. CFO.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mims.
Council President,
Councilwoman Davila.
just to that point, and Councilwoman Cotton, it should have been you speaking right now, but, no, it's a joke. It's a joke, Councilwoman, calm down. By our memorandum of understanding, our MOU, we must, the tax levy must be increased by 2% every year. If we do not do that, then we have to return whatever amount. In this term, it would be the 25 million transitional aid in addition to the 8 million that we're receiving additional, correct? And so I just want to also put that out there because there is an increase, and I would say that for this year, it's 2.5, but the way I see it, it's a 0.5 in terms of the change from last year. Just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you,
No,
Councilwoman.
I know this is not the budget, but she mentioned it, and because it is correct. Her question was answered. The tax levy will increase by 2.5. They proposed 2.9, and I'm sure that this council was giving some pushback, right? But by our memorandum of understanding, we must increase the tax levy by 2%. We
Thank-
are a transitional aid, and we have to abide by that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Davila. Any other question, council members? Councilwoman Ruby Cotton?
No, I don't want to. CFO, Javier, I see here you got the consolidated municipal property tax relief aid. Is that like the, who can't, you can't, okay. Then, that's not the transitional aid piece, is that? Because it went from 28 million to 33 million.
That is the transitional aid piece.
That's, okay, so.
I just had to switch those numbers around from, those numbers are basically the same. When you read the 4 million and the 28 million, they're almost identical to the 33 million.
Right. Now, the only other question I see here is the energy receipt tax. That's the tax that they,
That's what we receive from this.
they had stopped for a little while, and then they brought it back. Which tax was that they stopped for a little while and they brought it back?
No, consolidated and energy receipts tax, we get that every year. They just switched it around this year to where we don't get consolidated property tax anymore. They're switching it all to energy receipts.
Okay, but Javier, what is the state aid MRF? What is that?
That's an additional municipal relief fund, I think approved by
who?
Murphy.
So that's a different fund from additional state aid.
Correct.
So they got additional state aid, they got municipal relief fund, and then they have energy receipt tax, which is included. And then because out here, if you look at this, it got transitional aid, they have, okay, I see it. But no, we did get additional.
We did get additional 25 million. It's not here because it's not being amended.
Okay, it's not being amended, okay. So then we got, so you went from 2.9 to 2.5. We got, Javier, we got a total, how much aid?
25 million
25 million.
in transitional aid, 8,355,000 for capital aid, an additional above the 25 million. And we also got 1,700,000 in municipal relief fund and 1,500,000 in municipal relief fund.
Okay. And now and plus the extra 10 million for the gap that we had? Remember we was in a hole for like 18 million?
Yeah, that's part of the 25.
That's part of the 25 too, okay.
Yep, because we were
Besides-
only supposed to get
that's part of the
15 in
25 plus the 8.
transitional. Correct.
Plus the 1 million in there. When I'm looking at these numbers here, that's what I'm trying to say. When I look at these numbers here.
Yeah, the top part is just that the consolidated, that's what used to be called Comtra, which is zeroed out now.
Okay.
And it's all in that energy receipts tax bucket. So that's that state aid that all municipalities get.
Okay.
And then even this, this was through the governor's office and the legislature, all municipalities were getting this portion of this municipal relief fund. So that's what we're getting, the 1.7 and the 1.5. And then specifically because of the supplemental transitional aid, that's that last 8.3 million.
Right. Javier, let me ask you, and that's my last question, Council President. If we had not gotten the $10 million because we was already in a deficit of 18 million, what would the increase would have amounted to, besides what you're saying now?
Somewhere around another 6%, or
much?
a 6% taxes in taxes.
How much?
Another 6%
Another 6% increase if they had not given us the 10 million
above, yes.
that we needed. Okay. Thank you, Javier.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ruby Cotton. Council members, Javier need to read this
Councilwoman Mims.
resolution into the record. So Javier, so you're gonna read it, the entire, that's by law, so you have to be read by law into the record. And right after that, we'll be ready to vote. Councilwoman Mims?
So I just have, and maybe it can be given before, but when anytime I see in the language that an MOU was done, I would like to see it attached to these items. It's not, I don't see it here, it's just 2 pages here. But I don't see the MOU. And then you outlined the different funds that have come in, but I don't see that outlined here, like in totality. So I'm not sure if we can get that information,
Which outline?
because we're voting on it tonight. But I would love to see the numbers that you just quoted. I would like to see it in writing so that we can have that information as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Silva?
Okay. General revenues, miscellaneous revenues, Section B, state aid without offsetting appropriations. Consolidated municipal property tax relief went from $4,145,708 to 0. Energy tax receipt from $28,839,743 to $33,213,458. Garden State Trust from $6,088 to $7,497. Additional transitional aid from $1,720,649 to 0. Prior year state aid MRF Municipal Relief Fund from 0 to $1,720,649. State aid MRF Municipal Relief Fund from 0 to $1,500,000. Additional state aid from 0 to $8,355,000. Total Section V, state aid without offsetting appropriations, from $59,712,517 to $69,796,933. Miscellaneous revenues, Section F, special items of revenue anticipated with prior consent of Director of Local Government Services, public and private revenues offset with appropriations. Supplemental funding for PD from 0 to $2,990,962.61 cents. New Jersey healthcare quality from 0 to $25,000. Enhancing local public health infrastructure from $3,248,242 to $3,348,828. Total Section F, special items of revenue anticipated with prior consent of Director of Local Government Services, public and private revenues offset with appropriations, from $29,521,891.45 to $32,638,456. Miscellaneous revenues, Section G, special items of revenue anticipated with prior consent of Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, ARP, replacing revenue loss sector, from $1,500,000 to 0. Total Section G, special items of revenue anticipated with prior consent of Director of Local Government Services. Other special items, from $9,597,121 to $8,097,121. Amount to be raised by taxes. Local tax for municipal purposes, from $168,124,363.86 to $167,408,305.13. Minimum library tax from $3,410,716.60 to $3,410,719.60. Total amount raised by taxes from $171,535,080.46 to $170,819,024.73. Total general revenues from $298,987,609.91 to $309,972,528.79. General appropriations, operations within caps, insurance OE from $46,500,000 to $40,779,290. Division of Police salary and wages from $44,600,000 to $44,700,000. Division of Police OE from $1,500,000 $1,981 to $1,727,214. Solid waste disposal from $13,750,000 to $15,250,000. ARF, LF, RF solid waste from $1,500,000 to 0. Total A, operations within caps from $202,137,178 to $196,741,718. Total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps from $237,033,150 to $231,637,690. Operations excluded from caps, insurance from $325,000 to 0. Group health insurance from 0 to $6,045,710. Total other operations from $5,595,889 to $11,316,599. Public and private programs offset by revenues. Supplemental funding for PD from 0 to $2,990,962.61. New Jersey Health Care Quality from 0 to $25,000. Enhancing local public health infrastructure from $3,248,242 to $3,348,828. Total and public-private programs offset by revenue from $29,521,891.45 to $32,638,456. Total operations excluded from CRAPS, $35,117,780.45 to $43,955,049.6. General appropriations, C, capital improvements, additional transitional aid for capital improvements from 0 to $8,355,000. Total capital improvements from 0 to $8,355,000. Revenue for uncollected taxes. Reserve for uncollected taxes from $15,700,835.94 to $14,888,946.21. Total general appropriations from $298,987,609.91 to $309,972,528.79.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. So, council members, so now let's take from action on item number 1, Madam Clerk. Let's vote on item number 1.
Yes, Mr. President. Resolution to amend the calendar year 2023 budget, which has been approved but not yet adopted. It's a resolution from Finance 23, number 684. Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes. This is not the budget, yes.
Right, we know. This is the
Councilwoman
amendments.
Cotton.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davila.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Although everyone has taken the liberty to point out the fact that the state has been so generous to bail us out yet again, we have not taken accountability to the overspending and the fact that this appropriation, if the state ever decides not to be so generous, that we will be in a big boatload of trouble. And with that irresponsible spending, Madam Clerk, my vote is no.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Councilman Kalik.
My vote is yes to the amendment.
Thank you, Councilman Kalik. Councilwoman Mims.
So this item that we're voting on is just for amendments. It's not the actual budget yet. I'll have more to say when it comes to the budget. For this item and the amendment of the appropriations, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mims. Councilman Velez.
I'm voting yes on this. I will make my comment for the other
Thank
stuff.
you, Councilman Velez. Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let the record reflect that we have on this amendment represents a reduction on the budget. So with that being said, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The votes are 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent. Item number 1, which is a resolution to amend calendar year 2023 budget, is hereby adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's do item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Item number 2 is a resolution acknowledging the municipal council receipt of a completed calendar 2023 best practices checklist and confirming that it was presented for public discussion. It's a Finance Resolution 23:685.
So move.
Moved by Councilwoman Davila, second by Councilman Velez. Roll call.
Discussion.
Discussion, Councilman Velez, right after Councilman Mims.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I'm first?
Councilman Mims. go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. So with the, to Madam BA, with the checklist from the previous year, is there any corrective action plans that were done? Were there any best practices modeled? I did read the checklist that we received, but I wanted to see some variations from last year, or maybe the last 2 years, based on the checklist and the practices and the outline of the state requirements. Well, I know it's not here, but is it possible that we can get that in the future, that we can see that as well?
It's something that I could prepare. I'll make a note to tease out a couple of those questions that differ from year to year. For the most part, this does stay the same annually. There are a few things that move from a category, an unscored question category, which the state pretty much uses as a way to get information from all municipalities, because every single municipality has to submit this, not just transitional aid cities. So there are a few that move. For example, there's a whole section that's now scored about cybersecurity. And so we are able to include all the things that we're doing as, our IT department and so on, that make sure that we are meeting best practices. In the past, that was just a survey question that was unscored. They were just getting a sense of how much municipalities are doing in this area. So I could do that going forward. But pretty much the categories remain the same every year. They're just making sure that we are in compliance with a lot of them. And for the most part, we are. In DocuWare, I know it's listed as page 3, which shows the score. Municipalities need to get at least 29 points in order to make sure that all those state aid categories that we talked about, not just transitional aid, but state aid, that we don't lose anything, that things are not deducted. So our Paterson score is 35.5, so we're above that threshold of 29. I do just want to point out, everything matters, though. For example, every year council members have to, and council members, board members, administration officials have to do our financial disclosure forms. And when not all of those are completed, we lose a point. So for example, this year we lost a point because of that, because we do have a notice of violation that not every council member had submitted that form. So we have to just emphasize the fact that all of these items matter, and everything that you see here, the 30 some odd pages of questions, we take very seriously.
Thank you, Madam BA, Council President.
Yes.
And that is the reason why I asked for, or made the request that we do the variation, because based on the requirements from the state and us receiving transitional aid, we have to ensure that those items are met. So for example, you stated the financial disclosure statement that wasn't done. I don't know what the corrective act, the plan will be to say whoever the individual is has, what have been the steps to get it resolved? Like, has an email been sent? Did they call the individual? Whatever that looks like, so it can be outlined. And I don't know if it was just this year or was it previous years, and that's just the example because you put that one out. But those are things that we need to see, because even though we're above the 29, which is great, we want our score to even get better. So we have to always gauge it to make sure that we're proactive instead of reactive. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Mims, and Councilman Velez.
Thank you, Council President. Madam BA, I believe we have 67 category here, right? Of questions? Or how you wanted to
It is
disclose that?
something, yeah.
67?
Yeah, we're on, let me just look here.
Yeah, 67.
Yes, there are 67 questions.
67 questions.
Yep.
Can you at least highlight two of the best practice that have, just for the benefit of the public, because over here it says it's confirming that it was presented for the public discussion. We don't have a lot of people for discuss here, but there's a lot of people viewing out there. Can you highlight at least two that have benefit in the best practice to the taxpayer, the city of Paterson?
Well, I could pretty much just go.
Sorry, I didn't email that. you
That's,
know, it's
that's
like-
okay. I can kind of look at any of these pages, and I think, for example, one of the best practices, and this might sound simple, but it's a kind of a filing requirement, asking to make sure that a municipality, every time a contract is completed, that there's something called PERC is the agency at the state level that requires us to file all of our contracts with them. But an important piece of that puzzle is we also have to do a cost out. And we have a specific form that we have to fill out, and it's something that we are in compliance for, and we do that every year for every single labor contract. And it's something that allows us to have a better sense of what's needed to budget, what the cost of contracts are, so that we're keeping that. We're very aware of that in relation to our tax levy. Is it something that, do we have to make cuts in other areas because we know the cost outs and the cost of our contracts? So that's number 60, for example, that we are in compliance with.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, the one that I want to point out, we have 6-7 question transparency.
Yes.
And it's amazing that we see that this administration in this checklist have been compliant transparency because the public always demand from the council to be transparent, to be transparent, to be transparent. What is your opinion based on this score and how the administration have been transparent to the community in this administration in this year that we're talking about?
So the requirements range for everything of making sure that budgets are always posted online, for introduced budgets and adopted budgets, and we have a whole page that goes back years that has them. Again, requirements about, again, something fairly simple, but that there's a state law that talks about tax relief and how the city needs to be in compliance with if people need to request payment plans to pay their sewer bill, that we have to allow that. And it's something that our tax office does. We have to have a state website listed on our website. We do, on the main finance page. So it's things like that they're checking up to make sure that we're being in compliance, but it's really to help our taxpayers.
Thank you.
So be
Thank
fair,
you.
Council President, being fair, from 0 to 10, the administration have been transparency in what score?
Yeah, I think everything that we're being asked to do, we are in compliance.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, council members. Madam Clerk, roll call on item number 2 on the special meeting.
Yes, Mr. President, roll call on item number 2, which is resolution acknowledging the municipal council receipt of a completed calendar year 2023 best practices checklist. It's resolution 23:685. Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Davila.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson.
No.
Thank you. Councilman Kalik.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilman Kalik. Councilwoman Mims.
So for this item, just based on the recommendation to the BA, this is a best practice checklist based on some of the requirements that we should be following as a model in the city of Paterson. And I just want to ensure, based on the recommendation, that we look at the last 3 years of our best practice checklist to look at if there has been any variation, what has our score been, how do we make it better, what other plans do we need to put in place, corrective action, so that we're more proactive as a city as we transition off of transitional aid. It's great to get the extra help, but I'm looking for the day when we are totally weaned off of transitional aid and we're a city that can stand on our own. So based on that, being this is the best practice checklist, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. Councilman Velez.
So out of the 67 questions that we have here, and it caught my attention, the 6 or 7 question of transparency. This administration have moved forward since I started this tenure here since 2016. I have seen improve. Some of those best practices have been put in place for the benefit of other departments, but the one that I always that I triggered me today is because the concern of the public when they come up here and they say, we need to be transparent, we need to be transparent, we need to be transparent. And I believe the administration will not, and us, will not put the word that we are transparent and then put something here different or something different here, and then the action will be different. So I will certify with transparency of this document and put up to the public out there. So my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Velez. Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Madam BA, there's always room for improvement, always, even though we passed the score with 35.50. Let's analyze and see how can we improve best practice in government, and let's continue moving into that direction. And let this score reflect also the services that we provide out there. It's key. I understand that the score is perfect and it's all good because we have to be in compliance with the state to get that transitional aid of $25 million that we're getting in order for us to balance the budget. All of it, even if we don't get that, otherwise we'll be in serious problem as a municipality financially. So let's this score reflect the service that we provide to the community, which is the most important thing. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Council President. The votes are 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent. Item number 2 is hereby adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now let's move to item number 3 on the special meeting, Madam Clerk.
Yes, item number 3 is a public hearing and adoption of the calendar year 2023 municipal budget. The introduced portion was approved at the special meeting of September 5th, 2023. It's a Finance Resolution 23:686.
Moved by Councilwoman Davila, second by Councilman Velez. Public hearing on calendar year 2023 municipal budget, introduced, approved at the special meeting held on September the 5th.
Well, I thought it
So
was
you
a
want to move to
public
close the public hearing?
Okay, give us a minute, Councilman. There's no, okay, seeing no move to close
That's why she
special
had to
hearing.
advertise.
Moved by Councilman Velez and second by Councilman Mims.
Oh, you want
When did
to?
he open it? I didn't know he opened it.
I just opened the council member, just give us a second.
Thank
Even
you.
though there was a motion to close, we have a members of the public that would like to address the council on this matter. Yes, Councilman Mims will retract the second. I know Councilman Velez will do the same.
Yes,
Good
sir.
evening.
Yes.
Madam Clerk.
Hi.
Deputy. I'm Deborah Hannibal from Paterson. And good evening to the administration. I did have an opportunity, the BA just mentioned that the budget is posted online, and I had an opportunity to look at the user-friendly budget online this evening, and I noticed that there was nothing in the section for accumulated absences. And I see the CFO is here, if he could respond to why that was left blank on the user-friendly budget. I only had a short time to review, but I did look at the city of Newark, the city of Jersey City, and they're all, that was completed for everyone. So that would show the municipality the number of sick days, vacation days, like as a liability for the city moving forward. So I would imagine for the city of Paterson, that would be in the millions, maybe anywhere from 30 to 100 million, if we're including police and fire. So I'm just wondering what is out there for the public is left blank.
Sure, and that question will be to the CFO, Mr. CFO.
So it is completed. I'll take a look at it. It should be up there. But it's, the number is about 22 million.
Okay. So are you able to take a look
She's right
now?
on
Because
point.
I see that you have a laptop. I looked online, so.
Okay.
That's a liability. And while I'm up here, I would like you to take a moment to think about the last pay increase that you received. It probably was somewhere between 2 to 5%. Just take a moment and think about the last pay increase you received. it probably was between 2 and 5%. The BA, who is a Paterson resident, received a 45% increase for her raise. She was doing the same exact job. It wasn't for a promotion. The previous BA had one part-time assistant that works 20 hours. This BA has 2 full-time assistant BAs, and she received a 45% increase for doing the same job with 1.5 time people. I mean, we gotta really look at our budget. Where is our money really going? And why the user-friendly budget? I mean, you know, this isn't our area of expertise, but we're expecting people that are considered to be expert to be able to do that job. So thank you for allowing me. And I also wanted to remind people to vote. Please, please do not stay home. Show up and show out, because we are being taken advantage of. I'm someone that didn't want to come to speak. I was happy to serve from behind. But I have seen enough to know that we cannot stay home. You have to put people in places that are concerned about things that concern you.
Thank you so very much for your participation. We appreciate it. Motion and Mr. CFO, yes. So 2 other speakers. So
Now that we have got.
it's let me just, Ms. Francis, before you continue, this is related to the budget. It's a budget hearing,
Right.
because we're gonna have public portion right after we finish with item number 3. We'll have public portion. Ms. Francis, good evening.
Piggyback on this young lady that just spoke, it's true. Where is our money going? Because the BA, the understanding that the community has as the BA's job is so many different departments that she's over, that she controls the purse strings, so to speak. Too many years we've talked about the low pay for DPW, not having enough zone people to work the 24 hours that we need in this city. But the money that she got as her increase, it's like it's falling on deaf ears. And $50,000 increase for every department in this city that's running amok and not doing their job. It's just, you know, and you want to do a budget, but there are areas that can be looked at a lot closer, okay? You talked about moving the DPW collection. My side of the town, our pickup on Monday, didn't get picked up till today, Wednesday, okay? Everybody knows Roselli, when they were in town, they were getting palms greased to take away the trash from the illegal constructions. So we were paying for that overweight. We were paying for that. And it's like nobody's watching the shop. So how many times can the community come to the podium and talk about the type of jobs that are being posted? It's like 30,000 is the limit that anybody can make in Paterson, except for her. Okay, $30,000 is not enough money in 2023 to live on. And those areas that are working and trying to do the best that they can for the city, they need to look at increasing these people's salary. The zoning people are not doing their job. You got economic development. We got a new director. Let's hope that we move past that. We just found out that the building and the planning board are making decisions that are not being connected through the other departments, such as HPC or construction. People are doing whatever they want in this city. And when it's called in, by the time zone does come, the construction is finished. They done built what they wanted to build. They done changed roofs, changed windows, did a whole bunch of stuff, and you can't get the service. So look at where our money is going, city. Understand that our money needs to be given to the people that are doing the job, and these people that are doing the job need increases. Need increases. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If there's any other speaker for the special, a hearing for the budget? No? So,
There's someone there.
yes, yes.
Alan Jefferson, Prospect Park and Paterson. I hear a lot of stuff about you moving this and moving that, okay? But I'm looking at where's the money going, okay? I see a lot of money going to the police department, okay? But I don't see nothing going for our kids. Art, cut. Other things cut for the kids. Where's it going? And last time I was here, you cut me off. You told me, oh, well, I could talk at the public, what's the name? Everybody walked out.
Thank you. There's no other speaker. Move to close. Moved by Councilman Davila, second by Councilman Velez. Roll call to close public hearing on the budget.
Yes, Mr. President, roll call to close the public hearing on the municipal budget for 2023. Councilwoman Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just want to say to, I believe that it was Ms. Francis Harris, you had talked about increases. Harrison, please. That you talked about raises for DPW. When I first came on, DPW was at 25, now they're at 30. And then they went, wait a second, let me finish, Ms. Harris, that's all, just let me tell you my part. And then they went to 34. Now, I came from working 50 years, maybe more than that. And my last job, I always say, when you have a job, you have what I call steps. You come in, you at this step. Make sure you go to another step besides your raise, besides your union increase. So that's something I think that they should have, everybody, I'm not talking about just going back years. They should have had steps in there because, and then once you max out to your step, then you just get your 2%. Whatever they give you, 2% or 3%. So that needs to be, to me, brought back in, that they have to, implement, to me, steps to help, at least it helps you to get up. I know sometimes we have in our departments, like, if you got a certificate in, say, forklift, you get extra. If you got a certification in a CDL, you get extra. So you have to, I try to encourage the workers, if you got a BA degree, if you got a master's degree, you get extra. So if you can get those extra paperwork, that really kind of like helps you, but, help it to bring out. So I just wanted to share that with you because I look at it too, because I came from a job where we had steps. All my jobs, we had steps. And so when I mentioned about the steps, I understood. Maybe a lot of people may not understand what steps mean, but you get to your max, and then, but then I was higher than some people, and the people that were lower than me was making more than me because they were making more overtime. And nothing I could do about that because they was working 20 hours a day. Sometimes you can't work 20 hours a day. But sometimes they would move up. But I understand what you're saying, and I tell you, Ms. Francis, that I'm gonna look into that because we need to think about implementing steps for all the cities.
Just closing the public hearing, Councilwoman.
I know, but this is a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just answering her question. Thank you, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cotton. Councilwoman Davila.
So I would just say quickly, before I vote, that it is necessary, definitely, to look into what you stated, Francis. I think that everyone that speaks, to a certain extent, certain things have merit. But we also have to be very fiscally responsible in terms of if we do that, because adding steps means increasing the budget, all right? And we have to have the monies in the budget to be able to sustain that, all right? And then there's also something when reviewing, the bargaining units, it's contractual. So, there's a lot in play, but I do and definitely believe that our city employees, specifically with DPW, and even some of our clerks, it's sad, it's sad. But with that said, I also have to understand that if we go ahead and do those increases, we definitely have to also understand that we will be increasing taxes.
Please, members of the public, there's no back and forth. We're just closing the public hearing.
And I know that there's,
members of the public.
and you are correct, all right? But, you know, with that said, I'll leave it there. My vote is yes to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Councilwoman Davila. Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So to fellow council members and Council President, let's not forget that Ms. Hannibal's question has been totally overlooked. Even the CFO, I guess he reached into his laptop to do a search but never answered her question. Relative to Councilman Abdelaziz's comment earlier, how this information is public, for that document to be published public without that information shows that there's a substantial amount of attempt to cloak information. If it's a heavy liability to the city, it should be, this information should be public and should be readily available. We shouldn't have to have people who have extensive experience in these areas have to come here to present that. Furthermore, I wonder what kind of steps the BA took to get a 45% increase. The first thing they talked about when they came on was performance evaluations. Where's that at? You don't need a performance evaluation when you're of a certain, I guess, situation, right? The other thing is this. This administration makes it a practice if you're more valued if you are not from here. Recently, the former, I mean, he held many titles now. His resume has been built. The former aide to the mayor, then economic development director, and resigned. What value did he add here? What value was added? Now we're hiring somebody else who's formerly Senator Booker's. If you work in D.C. and you work for somebody politically driven, you can get a job in Paterson. I'm just curious about what his salary is going to be, because let me remind you that when someone local who happened to be black held the position, they took a substantial pay cut. And then the non-African American candidates come in and they get the top of the scale. I mean, they skip all the steps. They just get the big step. So when we're talking about being fair and equitable to DPW workers, all of our employees, city employees, are being passed over this way. So when you talk about performance and performance evaluations, I'm wondering when that's going to happen. There's been a great deal of talk. You have data people that have come here and gotten $150,000 jobs. Oh, but we didn't pay that. That's through a grant. So what? They're getting paid substantially more than everybody else, all the city employees who are out there really putting in hard work. But anyway, I'm waiting for the day when this council is going to be responsible, fiscally responsible, and hold this administration accountable for the discourse going on, the lack of inspections. All the things that we talked about, the sewer fees that still have not been collected. Yeah, they've been acknowledged only because there was a scandal to unveil that stuff. That's a very good question. Very good question. And then we have, a substantial amount of other corrupt activity going on here, and everybody's using Paterson as a personal piggy bank. But anyway, Madam Clerk, to close the public portion, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Councilman Kalik?
My vote is yes to close the public hearing, Madam
Thank you,
Clerk.
Councilman Kalik. Councilwoman Mims?
To close the public hearing, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mims. Councilman Velez?
So I cannot ignore some statement from the public. And when it comes up, and Councilwoman Davila saying a part of burden to the budget, if we, increase some salaries, as everybody knows, that all the employees of the city of Paterson has unions. They go to bargain, they go to contractual, all that. It's fight through there. I always say to all union members, and who is president, whatever, to ask for a lot, even if they give you whatever they want, but at least you ask the max what your member needs. Then they sit on the table and they get to an agreement. We vote on what they already agreed. And I heard that's coming something good for DPW contract. At the end of this contract, probably is going to be 11% salary increase for them. Nobody said about that. But, you know, I'm going to leave that subject when the subject comes forward. Now, regarding the ordinance of setting salary for the official of the city of Paterson and accordingly to amending Paterson Code Section 5-19, we, the council, was in great debate with the administration, and I'm going to mention who voted for it. I'm going to mention who voted for it. And if you go to the city clerk and ask for the amendment ordinance salary, we vote for it. The people that are here in the council, we vote for it. Those that voted yes, those voted no, they feel proud they voted no. We voted yes, we feel proud that we voted yes. I'm not a person to retract why I voted yes and go to negative in my own vote yes. But when that was presented to us, the finance chair, our councilwoman at large, Marissa Davila, was lobbying for the increase for us too. She asked, right? She asked for an amount of money and the state tell us no for us as council person. No. We voted, they say no to our salary increase. This salary increase, this salary range, not increase, the salary range was approved by DCA based on the recommendation of DCA. Some of the directors of the departments that we have here were following the education they have. They was putting value in the education they have. They was measuring how much they will get in the private sector pay, comparing with government pay. Not for nothing, corporate counsel here, well-known attorney, admitted in different bars and different courts. If he would choose, I'm sorry, corporate counsel, that I take you as an example, any attorney that works in the city of Paterson, if they choose to work in the private sector, okay, no, you're not going like this. If you choose to go to the private sector, they losing money at this time. We all losing money. If we go to the private sector, we get more money. But this salary range was approved first by DCA and approved by the governing body of the city council. And I'm going to proudly say that Adel Aziz voted yes, Ruby Kine voted no, Marissa voted yes, Khalik voted yes, Mendez voted no, Mims voted no, Flavio voted yes, and I voted yes. And I forgot, I skipped the councilman in the first ward, he voted no. What difference is going to do now? What difference is going to do now? Council President, what would be my benefit if I was not a council member, just to take that public portion and slam people because they get in the salary for the work they do? Hold on. This is my opinion.
Members of the public, there's no rebuttal, please.
And as you know, you are aide of the city, of the councilman.
Members of the public, there's no rebuttal, please. Council member, we're just closing the public hearing, council members. Please, members of the public, please, there's no rebuttal. Council member Les, please,
I'm going to wrap up because saying the truth sometimes bothers, but to put facts out there.
Members of the public, please, there's no rebuttal.
Put facts out there And you have to, people have to remember,
Yeah.
ma'am, it's good to you exercise the freedom of speech, but when people come here and start slandering and start criticizing.
Members of the public, no, members of the, no, members of the public, please, we have, the public hearing is closed. Councilman Velez is the last vote, and we have to get ready to take formal action. Please, let's conduct ourselves in a decent way. Councilman Velez, can you wrap it up,
Yeah,
please?
good wrap up. I invite anyone that we empty all the department's heads, directors, and take them out of the city of Paterson. Madam BA, you could resign tomorrow, you could leave, but let me tell you something, who's gonna come? You say, yeah, who's gonna come and work for the amount of money they get? For the amount of money work they get, who's gonna work in this city? You know how many people say out there, professional, the same level they have? I'm not gonna work for that kind of money. With a bunch of things I had to do with the city of Paterson, I will stay where I'm at.
You vote, Councilman.
Before pointing out, you have to look at 4 figures pointing at you. My vote is yes to close the public portion.
Thank you, Councilman Velez. Mr. President.
We spend so much time talking about this salary ranges. This is not even on the agenda. We voted a couple of years ago, I guess 2 years ago. We're spending so much time talking about something that is not on the item. And you know, yes, I vote against because salary range was not established there. And once you vote yes, they could go from the top, from 0 all the way to 100. And I didn't agree back then on that. That's the reason why I vote against. I understand that if we need professional, we have to pay a decent salary. Now, with that being said, we're going through the budget hearing. If we're fighting so much about DPW, at the last budget hearing, there was only 3 council members, myself and 2 other council members. Now, since we're fighting for the budget on DPW, because it sounds nice to talk about it, right? Now, I would invite all my council colleagues to be here to go over the budget tomorrow about DPW, and we could increase the salary on DPW. I agree, we got to pay more money to our Paterson residents. It's difficult to live. I don't know how can you live with $30,000 when any apartment costs $2,000 a month in the city of Paterson. Honestly, I don't know. It's difficult. It's hard. My DPW department, they should make more money. Now, how can we fund this? We're leaving money on the table every day in the city of Paterson. We should run the city like a private entity. How is that? We don't have an office inspector. For month and month, we send the street cleaning without inspector. We're losing millions of dollars because we're not enforcing the law that we have in the book. There's people that have those properties filthy, people throwing garbage in the community, people blocking sidewalk, people blocking parking everywhere, people double parking the car in the city of Paterson, and nobody cares. And I will tell you, if we start enforcing the law that we have in the book, we will fix the problem that we have with the city. Now, a lot of people say, I don't want to talk, I want to vote against the budget. I'll tell you this. I met with DCA this past Tuesday. DCA was clear. What DCA told me, you don't want to approve the budget? Don't worry. I will approve it for you. And it will be hard what we're going to put on Paterson. I'm giving you $25 million for you to balance your budget. Now, it's your responsibility to get it done. If you don't do it, I will do the same thing that I did on Trento. I will put a very difficult budget in the city, and it's going to be your responsibility. Now, with that being said, this is the time for us to sit down and talk about what we're going to do with our city, but it's through the budget. Tomorrow, it's a very important meeting. We're going to talk about our sweeper, the DPW workers. How much money can we pay them? Those inspectors, how are we going to bring those inspectors to make sure that we get the city clean? That's the conversation that we need to talk about. And the time is down. Not at the last inning, because now we're voting on the budget for 2023. We're getting ready to, we're having a discussion about 2024 budget. And that's the key of the discussion if we really want to fix the city. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. The votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Public hearing and item number 3 is hereby closed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Roll call on item number 3, Madam Clerk.
Roll call on item number 3 for approval. Councilwoman Davila.
So again, a lot has been said. We understand, we hear, there were certain statements made, addressing certain individuals and increases. I can say I've been part of finance for quite a few years since I've been a council member, and sat with DCA many times, okay? Monthly, maybe twice if I had to. Went to Trenton when I had to. And in terms of the ordinance that this council, the majority, because at the end of the day, regardless of who voted no, it passed with the majority of the votes. We voted on a ordinance for ranges. We didn't set the salary, there were ranges. Did the amount of the top of the range increase and were given? Absolutely. But before that work was done, before that ordinance was done, we had to go and we had to look at all the different municipalities. And I did this on my own. I wanted to see what other municipalities that were like ours, okay, because one thing is saying we're the third largest city, so you have North Jersey City and then Paterson. I looked at what from the CFO to the BA, well, the BA, CFO, Corporation Council, Mayor, the whole nine, even council people. And there was a disparity, a major one. In addition to that, then I looked at transitional aid communities as well. Okay, did that work as well? You also have to take into account, and yes, Paterson first. Second, people don't like to hear it, but it's the truth. Educational background does matter. You can hire a chief of staff who has a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. The person that has an associate is not going to get the same salary as a bachelor's degree. It isn't. They're not, all right? In addition, if you have a master's degree, if you have a law degree, I mean, there's so many different aspects in terms of salary. So I don't want to go all into that, but I needed to make that statement because sometimes, you know, and I'll say it very, I'll say it public, you know, I think our BA really gets beat down a lot, and I think it's not correct. Some of the things that are said, I will say that, you know, when I have disagreements, which I do, I meet with her. You know, I've sat down, we were in DCA together on Tuesday, you know, and I was doing a little pushback on certain things because, you know, hey, you're the administration, we're the legislative body. I answer to the people. I mean, I get it, but I answer to the people back and forth, but I didn't have to disrespect her, you know, and I have the floor right now.
Francis, the public portion. Francis, the public portion.
Right now.
Council,
when others speak, I keep myself quiet. Council President, can you please?
Francis, the public portion, Councilmember, no,
Mrs. Harrison, I'm not addressing you. I am addressing and making a statement just like anyone else in the public that makes their statement. I'm making mine.
Members of the public, we close the public portion.
I am making my statement. With that said, everyone has the right to speak, all right, and address, and I'm just saying it here, in my opinion, okay, and the work that we've done on this council and what I've done when I was the president, when I sat with DCA, and still now sitting with DCA to understand the process of certain things, all right? Yeah, anybody can say, wow, well, $50,000, absolutely. But I want you all to go back and look at the different municipalities, the one that received, because you know what, Councilman Vela said it best. DCA signed off on that. And the reason for that was a disparity. That the third largest city, BA in this case, was making $60,000, $70,000 than another. Okay, but with that said, I'll leave it there. Okay, my vote is yes.
Thank you.
Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First of all, let me give a few examples, Ms. Harrison. My mother she's a licensed RN, but she's a director of nursing, where nurse practitioners, where LPNs, all of these people have to answer to her. Why? Because she has 45+ years of experience. You pay for experience. I don't know anywhere where you get somebody that comes out with doctors don't come out of the college with their doctrines and just automatically get paid. You get paid on performance. You get paid on performance. And being critical of someone is not being disrespectful. Every day, the quarterback for the Jets got to get up and accept criticism from Stephen A. Smith, from everybody in the country and everybody in New York. Being critical of someone and calling them out for their failures is not being disrespectful. If you need to see failures, all you need to do is walk around this community. The problem is people on the top are so much interested in taking care of themselves before they're interested in taking care of the people who need to do the work. So when you talk about, I can't wait to see this 11% DPW increase that's been talked about, because not only have I heard that through the negotiations that they're trying to be shorted of their 2% increases, but they're also talking about cutting their health benefits. So, but this is the kind of things that we're doing. We're talking about that while you have people who own operations that receive 150, 200 tickets, they get automatically dismissed. When I sat here and talked about the former zoning director who was hired at the top of the scale without a college degree at all. Without a college degree, no experience, DCA wrote a letter. This tells you about DCA and how much they're scrutinizing the city. They wrote a letter saying this gentleman is unqualified, should not hold the position. The administration hid the letter from the council for over a year while he sat in that position collecting double the salary of the person who worked for the city for 25 years, who not only was a licensed architect, licensed engineer, certified planner, certified zoning officer, but had multiple college degrees. And this person who didn't live in the city, I guess he wasn't because he wasn't black or he wasn't Hispanic. See, those are the disparaging positions. It's not a matter of experience or degrees. It's a matter of who you are, where you're from, who you're tied to. Now, after this person was in the job for several years, guess what they just did? They just brought him back again. He left, they brought him back again. The same, he didn't go back and complete any more schooling. He didn't go out and get more experience. He had zero experience. The state acknowledged it, and they brought him back again. So just because you're scrutinizing people who have given themselves endowed pay increases and not have taken care of the conditions of the community, now you're being disrespectful. The disrespect is to the public. That's who it is. The disrespect is to the public that's getting a poor level of service and while people are getting paid. Let me not remind us of the deals that's been cut. The former BA cut the deal negotiated the deal for the stadium. Now he's a part owner in the concessions. Where's the investigations on those kinds of things? But these are the types of things that they want us to, how's that being disrespectful? Where's the performance evaluations? How did the BA, where was her performance evaluation? And this council talks, right? They talk a lot of BS. Because just as we voted in place that pay increase, we didn't know they was going to give themselves the top of the range. We could have backed it out. We could have went right back the next week and voted it right back down. We didn't do that, though. We didn't do that. So I'm glad he took into account of doing the inventory on who voted in favor and who voted against. But you can't keep sitting here and trying to mislead the public and going along. The council is not supposed to be the sidekick of the mayor, or should I say the side chick of the mayor or the administration. The council is there to create balance. And without balance, it's discourse. And what do we have? I don't have to ask, I don't have to say it. You tell me, what do we have in our community? Discourse. My son came home from college the other day, told me he was at the McDonald's drive-thru. I'm like, what? What? With my daughters, don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever do that again. We have to be fearful of our kids' travel through the community. We have to be fearful. And then when people are here that's out doing and trying to do the job, they're not fairly compensated. And while people give themselves raises, you should be embarrassed if you're a leader and you take care of yourself before you make sure the people who have to do the work are taken care of. But, you know, some of us live by different standards. Anyway, Madam Clerk, well, my vote is no.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Councilman Kalik?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We've been talking about this budget for 45 minutes to an hour. All these statements and has nothing to do with this budget. In this budget, we approved the salary ordinance and stuff more than 3-4 years ago. It has nothing to do with this budget. In this budget, we're spending, with last year in 2023, this year actually, we spend more money on recreation than previous years. We allocated more money for the community-based services than previous years. We did not cut any of them. We should be talking about those things. Where can we put the money so the community could get benefited? Instead of talk about something that somebody's salary that has happened, 3-4 years ago? And if you look at the salaries of the BAs and CFOs, if you compare to the other cities in New Jersey, Paterson is one of the least paid those positions in the whole state of New Jersey. Passaic CFO make like $240,000 a year. Look at Paterson. Paterson is the third largest city. It's not even close to that salary. So we need to compare and contrast sometime. But it's okay. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilman Kalik. Councilwoman Mims?
So one of the things I think is important when we look at the budget is the work that gets put into ensuring that there are services. That's something we talked about for some years now. We started doing budget hearings and all of those things. We talked about, although we know that we're on transitional aid from the state, we know there's a memorandum of understanding that we have to increase 2% based on the requirement from the state. If we get their money, you have to do the 2%. We understand that. But one of the things we have stated from this side to the administration was we need to have some services, we need to improve some things throughout the community so that people, although your taxes are being raised, and we don't want them raised because I'm a homeowner as well, you are able to see something from the money that you have. So when you look out in the community where we can talk about the negative things that are going on, everyone can talk about that. But you can't talk about the negative and not talk about the good things that are happening in our community that have happened over the last couple years, right? So when we're voting on budgets, right, we sit, we advocate for things in the community, and we work with the administration because you have to work with them. You don't have to like people, but to get it done, there's something called collaboration, right? And you cannot sit and like bash the administration and go off every week, and then you're like, I want something done. Now you're like, you know, you're kind of like at the window banging and nobody's opening the door. So you have to find a happy medium to work with them. Not saying that you agree, not saying that you yes everything. There's sometimes you need to challenge the status quo. You need to sit, ask questions, pointed questions. Not that you're trying to be more intelligent than someone else. I just think that everyone's makeup and their pedigree is a little different. Our backgrounds, experience, and qualifications are different. So maybe there's some questions or points that some of us make that others don't make. It does not mean one is better than the other, but I think it makes up the whole, because each part makes up the whole. So in this budget, I want to commend the work that was done to reduce it from the 2.9, because I was very adamant about that when we talked about the introducing, and I do see that we did some due diligence and made some adjustments, and we're down to 2.5. I am happy that in this capital improvement, as we're about to embrace the winter months, that we have equipment for DPW, we have different things that we're going to need for our police, for our fire department, and in this community. Just today, Lou Costello, which is one of our Spectrum parks, was awarded more money from the county. And that's important because School 2 is right there. They have a heavy population of kids that are on the spectrum, and that's a great part to make sure our kids are getting and the families are getting what they need, and it's all throughout the community. So with that stated, and normally I vote no, I always vote no on this, but because of the work and the due diligence that was done for the parks, for different things that are happening in the community, especially when I sit with seniors or I'm in the schools and I hear the children and there are things that are needed. A woman from the community, and I hope she's watching, she reached out to me for Buckley Park. And I sent an email to the mayor and to Madam BA. And to see that that is on the agenda for us voting next week, I'm really excited because she talked about going there and some things she saw, but that's what it's about. You have to be able to say, let me see what you're talking about. You go out there, look at it, and then you send the request to the administration. And then they come back and say, we'll take a look at it. And now it's not just taking a look at it, it's here for vote. So that means action is about to be taken. And that's what it's about. We may not all agree. You may say they need to do better. We all do. Everybody. If we say that, that means we have to include ourselves too. Everybody takes a part in what happens in the city of Paterson. I said it last week. Talk about the senseless violence. We could talk all day. We could blame the administration. We could blame the council. But I added the equation. We got to talk about the parents and the guardians. You cannot point fingers at the mayor and the administration and the council, and you don't take a responsibility for what's happening behind your closed doors. You're not going in the rooms and flipping those boxes over and seeing what's in those Nike boxes, and you know sneakers are not in there, or flipping mattresses or kicking the doors in when the doors are locked in your home. So there are things that we all, if we're going to fix Paterson, it takes all hands on deck. Everybody has to be involved. It can't be, oh, they did something, oh, I don't like what. If you're going to go by what you like, you're never going to get anything done. If you go by who's the favorite flavor of the month, you're going to miss it next month because the flavor is going to change, right? So we have to be in a position where we come together, we collaborate, and we get it done, because I believe that we are better together. This budget, although I would have loved for it to be stabilized, I would have loved that. But based on the fact of them doing their due diligence and decreasing it, I have to stand in support of this item. And with that being said, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. Councilman Velez?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You know, we're here tonight, and a couple of months ago, they were talking about 18%, 19% tax increase. They were talking that we was going to be in a big hole if we don't do some changes around. You know, what is presented to us is real fiscal responsibility. Real fiscal responsibility. Why I say this? If we vote for the budget and we don't see those results, and then we could start challenging the administration, we're not going to approve this budget due to you haven't done nothing or you haven't done this. But listen, we're not blind. Budget represent what you see out there. Who haven't now seen better parks? Who haven't seen better roads, better streets paved in the city of Paterson? Who haven't not seen better social service program for our seniors? Who have not seen new vehicles for the police department? Who haven't not seen that we hire more cops? We have seen more cameras out there, more program for health. Guaranteed income for the past 2 years, this administration have been putting money in people's home with a guaranteed income. And they're going to take advantage of another round of 200 families. We have hired more Patersonian with this budget. If you don't see it, I don't know where you're looking at. More youth program, more funding for the youth out there. You haven't seen it, we see it because we participate in them. Councilwoman Mintz spoke about the open space, the money that we received from the county. Guess what? That money comes from the open space taxes that we submit application approved by this council, and they awarded us the same money that we gave them. They awarded us in 60 municipality that open space funding, money that we collect. So, based on what we have seen in the improvement in the city of Paterson, I see it. Councilwoman Mintz, everything that she have asked in every budget have been fulfilled. Parks, roads, Clinton. Listen, residents of Clinton Street are happy that they see a park renovated. Now they're going to see another side of the park renovated. And not only that, they could travel free without getting potholes in that street. And you know, it lifted the morale even for the students and parents that drop their kids there. It lifted the morale for the residents that live around that section that say that their taxes are working, that the legislative body is working with the administration, living out with differences on the side, and making sure that the residents see the budget working in their needs. And saying that it does not represent the needs of the community is a wrong fact. I could see my residents in the Fifth Ward happy what they're doing. A lot of roads got paved in this past years. Parks was renovated, and more to come. More to come. Because us here in this, 8 of us over here, like to see the city moving forward. Saying that, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Velez. Councilman Abdulaziz, we're voting on item
Yes.
number 3 for approval.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So,
Oh, you haven't voted.
no, I said yes, I know what we're voting on. So, as many of you know, I take the budget and fiscal responsibility very, very seriously. I know with the administration and the mayor, we go back and forth, meetings, and of course, every council member's responsibility is try to make the least impact on the taxpayer. And if you look back, on August 2nd, when the state awarded us the $10 additional million, the administration was still considering of increasing taxes or proposing a 4% increase. And if you look at that article on NorthJersey.com, I clearly stated it's not happening, way too high. Because we understand, for us to get the money from the state of New Jersey, we have to raise taxes by 2%. We have to. This body approved the memorandum of understanding with the state that they're going to give us money, but they want us to raise it 2%. This year was a tough year when it came to budgets, not just in the city of Paterson, throughout the state of New Jersey. If you go look around, and to the residents, Google state health premiums increasing statewide and see how much the health insurance rose this year. And for us to have a budget right now to this council, because we worked with the administration, I want to commend Javier, Madam BA, and the mayor to bring it down to as close as 2% as possible. As close as 2%. And like I said, when they originally proposed a 4%, we said no way. I said absolutely not. Then they brought the 2.9, and then we still pushed back. I know Javier would tell you, I was like, keep going, keep cutting, keep looking for ways to make the least impact. We can't go below 2%. The state bailed us out this year. They gave us $10 million in addition to what we get. We were doing the right thing. When I came on this council, Councilman Mintz came on a week after, we were getting $30+ million from the state. And we were bringing it down little by little. We were bringing it down, bringing it down, bringing it down. And then we got hit with this fiscal crisis, with this state health plan, the garbage pickup going up millions of dollars. and we still are presenting a responsible budget. My colleagues spoke about what's in the budget. And I'll tell you, in the 6th Ward, record repaving of the streets. Almost every road in the 6th Ward is getting repaved. 2 new parks. And many other things are benefiting the city. This is a very, very responsible budget. I want to show you how responsible our budget is. The chunk of your property tax bill comes from, the most of it comes from 3 entities. The city, which is us, that we control, the county, and the school district. The county has stabilized or kept the taxes at 0%. This body, the city council, has kept it at 2%. This is actually the highest since I've been here, 2.5%. Look at how responsible we've put a budget in front of you. To the residents, the school board has raised your taxes 59% in 5 years. 15% 2019, 14% 2020, 12% 2021, 11% 2022, and this year, 7%. Look at what we've been doing. We've been making the tough decisions. No one likes an increase, but for what we have to give you a 0.5% increase, I think, Javier, how much is it per resident? 160 average?
For the average, it's about $168.
$168 from our portion, average for the entire year. So take 168 divided by 12, about $16 per month. I thank my council colleagues. This is a responsible budget for the things that we're delivering. Could we do better? Madam BA, of course. Services, every year we have to do better. Because every year, at the end of the day, we control the purse strings. This is probably the most important thing a councilman or woman could do when it comes to the budget. We dictated the negotiations. We worked with the administration. We brought an $18 million deficit down to 2.5% increase. Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Abdelaziz. Councilwoman Khan, we're voting on the item number 3 for approval.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Clerk. I know all my colleagues have spoken about the budget. I know they have spoke because my Councilman Al here next to me, they were starting out at a 4% increase. And they all knew that when everybody had the opportunity to go and talk to the CFO and talk to the BA, that we could not do no 4% increase. Now, only thing I need to say, and I want to say to you out there, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen the year after, but we have made some accomplishments. Sometimes I say to people, go look and see who voted and how they voted. Because with certain things that's voted on, I might agree and I may disagree. But a lot of things has been happening for our city. For them to give us an extra $10 million, an extra $10 million where you would have to pay. And I understand that we need to, and we look at how money is being spent, but to get an extra $10 million, you know, I get calls from all over, Facebook Time, Facebook this, it's not even in the United States no more. We are like worldwide now. You go to Mexico and they're gonna talk about Paterson. You go to Puerto Rico, they're gonna talk about Paterson. I get a Facebook Time from a man in Macau, China, because he knew that I was a council person and I visited that country. So, and we have to do our best, and we may disagree, we may not disagree, but we need to do our best to work together. And I want to say to my council president, I came to visit you today. You know, it ain't about I don't like you, I don't like you. It's about we got to work together. We can discuss what we think we can do together.
That's right.
I'm worried. I'm very worried that the state could say to us next year, I ain't giving y'all a dime. You figure out what to do. At least we got friends And like Councilwoman Mims said, it's about working together, collaboration together, about making sure, yeah, do we still got issues? Yes, we do. And there's more things that need, but we need more help now from the community. There's things that we still need to get done. But they work, and I want to say to our CFO and to our BA that they really worked hard to get this down to the 2.5. We already know it's mandatory for 2%, but they really worked to get this down. And I want to say I commend you for working to get this down, because even with, and we still now have to work on getting, my thing is that when you look at commercials on TV, you see these companies that New York State and come to my state, and if you hire 500 people, you ain't got to pay no taxes for. Those are what people are looking for. We need to try to get ourselves out there in some of these businesses that we can try to get to New Jersey, you know. And I just want to share, when you don't have credit card companies, major hospitals, Amazons, Prime, they're in your cities, they're the one who's picking up the tab for the property tax, because now they got all these businesses there. We don't have an airport. We don't have a port. There's so many things that we don't have. We need to try to get here, bring some companies here that want to help us out, that want to do business here in the city of Paterson. So they worked hard. They knew how I felt about the increase. They put a lot of effort and time in it to get this thing, this down. I'm just afraid of, they're watching us. And for us to continue council meetings the way we're doing it, businesses are not going to come here. They're not. I can't, they're not going to. Why would I want to do business with council members that they can't even get along with each other? Why I'm going to come here for? So they worked very hard. I saw that they worked very hard to get it down. We was at 2% mandatory by the state of New Jersey. It's a 0.5, you know, and still, let's all work together to make sure that we continue to do what we have to do. Madam Clerk, with that being said, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cotton. Mr. President?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I definitely, as an elected official, you have to be able to sit down with the administration, with your council colleague, and agree and disagree on an item in order for you to make progress and be effective with the city, with the municipality. We have a $18 million deficit that when we went down to 2.5. We made progress. And as a legislator, you have to be able to lobby for the things that you want to see done in your community. And I could definitely say that since I became the councilman of the third ward is much better now than was before. We invest millions of dollars on the resurfacing of all the roads, on the east side section, on the riverside section. We invest millions of dollars renovating all the different parks. Our riverside, now our east side park is a state-of-the-art park, totally repaid, brand new tennis court. You could see the progress, the investment that we have done with the Paterson Police Department. The work that we have done, it's there, and people see the progress, the community see the progress. And I'm always saying that there's always room to improvement. As I mentioned to Madam BA, there's a lot more work to be done. But every Tuesday, I sit down with the state, with our monitor from the state, with DCA, and we have this conversation. And we don't agree on everything, and Madam BA, no. We have a lot of very extensive discussion with DCA because we're fighting for our community. But the state gave us $25 million to balance this budget. And we have a commitment also with the state as well. But also we have to keep in mind that we got to work together to be able to accomplish what we want to see in the city of Paterson. When I mentioned there is always room for improvement, I'm talking about services. We have to talk about those supervisors, those inspectors that need to be out there in the road enforcing the law. Now, if you want to make an impact on the budget as a legislator, the time is now, because during the budget hearing is where we have the time to say our DPW workers, they don't making that enough money. So how can we do it? Let's increase this line item to make sure that every driver, that every supervisor, that every worker that is out there make this amount of money. It's not now because it's night to talk when the TV is on. But last week, there was only 3 council members sitting over here, spending hours talking about all the different departments. So if we really want to make progress and take action, let's do the work. Now with the cameras on, let's come here, let's go over line item by line item. I remember that the driver from DPW with CDL, they were making $30-something thousand. We made that recommendation to increase it to 40. I believe that they should make more money. If you have a CDL license, you go to Amazon or any other company, you will make way more money. So we have to have that conversation. And how do we do it? Do it in the budget hearing. And if we get those inspectors out there and we enforce the law, we're going to have enough money to balance the budget and to provide the services that this community needs. But overall, I'm satisfied with the work that I see. I've been lobbying for my 3rd ward and for the entire city of Paterson. And if you go around the 3rd ward, we finished 14th Avenue, totally repaid from point A to point Z. I'm satisfied with what I see. I'm getting those calls back from my 3rd ward residents, and that's what I need. I want to move the city forward, and I want to be able to continue sitting down at the table with administration, agree and disagree with respect, but to make sure that the community receive the service that they need. With that being said, my vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Council President. The votes are 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent. Item number 3 is hereby adopted.
Council President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council members, before we continue, there's only one item, the MOU, and it's time sensitive. And right after that, we have public portion. I do apologize. I have members of the community that they came to be on a public portion, I'm assuming, right? So during the workshop. So we got item number 4. As soon as we finish, we close our special meeting and we open the public portion and we'll finish the agenda. So, Madam Clerk, item number 4.
Just really quick.
Councilman Mims.
Yes, so Madam BA, I just want to put a request on the floor. When we go to the League of Municipalities, it went from we solely paid to they paid for one night. Can you talk to DCA to make the request? Because we all have budgets, council members, but we need to get clarity, I think, out of that budget, because we need professional development training. Out of that budget, that should be able to cover our costs for the league. Other municipalities are doing that, and I wanted to bring it to you for DCA so that they can approve it across the board. It should be already happening. We have the money there. We should be able to pay for it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Point well taken. Madam Clerk, let's do item number 4 before we open the public portion.
Item number 4 is a resolution approving memorandum of understanding between the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety and the City of Paterson. It's Police Resolution 23687.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez and Councilman Kalik, and second by Councilwoman Davila. Roll call, Madam Clerk, on item number 4.
Amen.
And Councilman Mims as well. Roll call, Madam Clerk, on item number 4.
Roll call on item number 4 for approval. Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton. Did you say yes?
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cotton. Councilwoman Davila.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Kalik.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mims.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to just say yes. So to the viewing public, I just want to highlight what this memorandum of understanding is about. It is for the public safety is the initiative. Our officer in charge has been going around doing town halls, and he talked about some of the initiatives that are going to be happening. So I just wanted to highlight a few of them from this document. One is the expansion of the public safety initiative to reduce violent crime and shootings. The second is the establishment of 12 community coordination officers with supervisors in every ward of the city to act as resource coordinators and points of contact between the residents, the city, and state agencies. It is also for a creation of a health and wellness section to provide trained officers as peer support, counselors to Paterson Police Department membership, and it's for the implementation of specialized community intervention initiatives, including neighborhood revitalization and quality of life initiatives. The amount of this is approximately $3 million, and there's a lot of different things that are outlined with compliance, with the Division of Local Government Services, liability, and to make sure that we're in compliance by the law. And then it talks about the funding and how we will be making those payments. With that being stated, I wanted to just give the public a brief overview of what this item is about. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. Councilman Velez?
I gotta read one part here. This MOU does not supersede or any way modify the duties, rights, and responsibility of the mayor and the city council pursuant New Jersey Optional Municipal Charter Law, NJS 40, column 69, etc. So this is a good thing. There was a part here that it triggers operational overtime, $1,160,962.61. All for officer ability for strategic initiative, it has the amount of $1.3 million. Officer ability for training, $530,000, and moving forward, this will send a message that we are trying to work with whoever is running the quality of life of the city of Paterson. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Velez. Mr. President?
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. The votes are 8 yeses, 1 absent. Item number 4 is hereby adopted.
Council
Thank you, Madam
President.
Clerk. Motion to close
Council
our special.
President, before we close, Council President.
No, you got public portion.
No. We closing the special meeting,
Special
and then we go back to public portion during the workshop. Yes.
Before we
Public
close.
portion is part of the workshop, not the regular meeting.
Before we
but
close, Council
there's a
President.
public portion in the public
No.
meeting.
We already did that, Councilman Velez.
Oh, yeah?
With the budget, yes.
Before
Yes.
we close.
Councilman Mims?
So I just want to, for a point of clarity, I just want to bring it, because it was stated twice, that if we had issues with DPW, we could bring it forward. The DPW budget hearing is on tomorrow.
Yes.
It has not happened yet. So I wanted to put that out there, because I heard it stated twice, and I'm like, we haven't had that meeting yet. So I just wanted to put that on the record it's for economic development, DPW, and the fire department.
And police.
And
police
police
also as well.
department. So that's for tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you, Council President.
Move to close.
Moved by Councilman Delacy, second by Councilwoman Davila. Roll call to close our special meeting.
Roll call to close a special meeting of Wednesday, November 1, 2023. Councilman Abdelaziz?
So before I vote, we have a very, very important day next Tuesday, Election Day. You just heard us debating about a budget to the residents in the city of Paterson, to the taxpayers. Most of the time, you look at us for your rate increases. You have a say come Tuesday on the Board of Education. Taxes have increased 59% in 5 years, 15%, 14%, 12%, 11%, 7%. Enough is enough coming from the tax increases from that board. We can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I always tell you it's time to vote. I'm strongly standing behind 3 people that are going to come in there and fight for the tax decreases or rein in the spending. The good thing is last year, the new members that came on the council voted no on these budgets. Send another message. I'm strongly supporting 1D Mohammed Rashid, 5D Joel Ramirez, 6D Flavio Rivera, who's on the council with us here, and of course the whole Democratic Row A team. Remember that 59% tax increase. Send the message next Tuesday. And I can't see anyone that fights for taxes that wants to stand with the people that are raising it on the other end. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilman Abdelaziz. Councilwoman Cotton?
Right, Madam Clerk. This is a closeout for the special meeting?
Yes.
This
All
is
right.
closing this special meeting. Yes.
All right. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thanks, Councilwoman Cotton. Councilwoman Davila?
So before I vote, I just want to say, because I know that our workshop is not televised, I just wanted to thank the community that came in and supported and I say support because, you know what, when we do things for the holidays, or in this case, yesterday was Halloween, Councilman Kalik in the second ward and I, as at large, we hosted a Halloween party. And we had so many children come with their parents and thanked us because they said, you know what, we don't want to go door to door. We don't really feel safe going door to door, but to have pockets within the community, from Barber Park, Councilwoman Cotton, Councilwoman Mims also sponsored. I think each one of us in here, we did something. I mean, in my neighborhood, right, what used to be Paterson Catholic, there was a huge event there. And so it was nice to see the community come out. And thank you to all those individuals also that donated. So with that said, I just wanted to say thank you. My vote is yes to close the special meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman Davila. Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So I'm urging the members of the public to, it is extremely critical and vital for us to come out and vote on this next upcoming election. Please don't be fooled. What you're witnessing here is an attempt to commandeer the contractual process. What my learned colleague failed to acknowledge was that there was an insurance company that didn't get a bid, and now there's a new objective to remove current board members of the school board to try to continue to exploit the revenue that's there at that school board. Don't be fooled. If anybody has been in this community this long, you know that there has never been anyone who's fought harder than Dr. Hodges. He and I have seen eye to eye on many cases, but he has fought extremely hard. And it's imperative that we continue to support Kenny Simmons and Danya Martinez. I take my hat off to her. She has been targeted based on decisions that she's made on the school board, has been fired from her employment within the county because the backlash of what she's willing to stand forward for the members of this public. Please make sure that you get out here and support Ms. Danya Martinez, Kenny Simmons, and Dr. Hodges for non-political, productive school board is what we actually need, instead of getting more politically inclined candidates. The worst council, one of the worst council members in the history of this council, Flavio Rivera, going back to the school board. What's that about? To further commandeer the finances and disenfranchise our children. Please, people, make sure you get out here and vote on Tuesday. Let's make sure we make our votes get counted for Paterson Public School Board. Lastly, I'll say this, relative to those of us, blindly supporting the Democratic Party, please stop doing that. Look at each candidate. The young lady from Clifton, Ms. Pino, has been an avid fighter for what's right, and I'm encouraging us to get out and support her as well. And with that being said, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman Jackson. Councilman Kalik?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Since everybody's talking about upcoming election, residents of Paterson, please do your due diligence. Look at each individual, specifically for Board of Education. What they have done in previous years, as Councilman Abdulaziz mentioned, the tax increases in last 3-4 years it became a burden in the residents of Paterson. And Paterson residents, every year I hear they're blaming the city council. It is not the city council that are raising your taxes every year. What we do is minimum, which is mandated by the state, 2%. But school board has been raising taxes from 15% to even this year 7%. So please do your due diligence and make sure go out and vote. My vote is yes to close the special meeting, Madam.
Thank you, Councilman Kalik. Dr. Mims?
So first and foremost, I want to thank Paterson for always doing what's right. I commend Paterson on yesterday. There were many community Halloween events all over the city. Very peaceful, lots of children went out every ward. It was absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to every organization, every sponsor, everybody that did something for our children. is always greatly appreciated. Special shout out to School 21. They did a Barbie ween, and we had, I think maybe about 20 different Barbies in the school. You had a veterinarian Barbie, you had the President of the United States Barbie. I mean, just so many, and some of the pictures are on their social media page. You have to go take a look at it. It was really awesome and creative, and then our children paraded around with their very, very creative costumes on. So I think myself and Council President Mendez, we're the only two people on the council that served on the school board. So I can speak from the school board perspective and now here on the council. I'm going to say, first and foremost, row A all the way is it. They have advocated, fought for no county taxes in the last 5 years, road infrastructures, bridges, I mean, so many things. The income tax credit dollars that came into Paterson, they fought for that. So make sure when you do row A, you're voting for Senator Nellie Poe. You're voting for Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter, Assemblyman Benji Wimberly, Passaic County Clerk Danielle Ireland Emhall. When she came in, she expanded the passbook process. That's number one. But number two, what she did was, you know how you're working and you get off maybe at 5? They were closed by 4:30. She extended the hours on Wednesdays, which had never been done, and so many other things. Her record speaks for itself. Please don't be fooled. Make sure we vote her back in that seat. She's done a phenomenal job. Then we have Orlando Cruz and Bruce James. Make sure row A all the way, you vote all the way across. And then let me talk about, because I heard it said about the taxes, right? I served on the board, and there's videotapes to prove it. And I'm going to be pushing them because I think it's important now, because since this is the issue or the hot topic about tax increases. When I was on the board, the vote was yes. No one cared about taxes and tax levies and all that. And we had to fight and yell and bring the community out for tax increases. So I just think it's amazing now that that's the sticking point. You have certain school board members, right, that Dr. Hodges never voted on those increases. Never. He's never done it. Vincent Arrington didn't vote on the increases. And then you have other people as well. Kenneth Simmons, he's done the Boys Leadership Summit for years and helped our young men, and he helped with our women in different community events. If you go into the parks and you see the grills going and there's cooking for all our community events and all that, that's Kenneth Simmons. A lot of times they're doing it and not even charging to do it. So sometimes I question, and I know people say change is good, but for me, I kind of ask the question, why? Like, what really is going on that people that are sitting at these tables that are really fighting for children? I work in the school every single day. Every day I'm in the building, and there are so many resources that are needed. PEA, they got it right. They endorsed Simmons and they endorsed Hodges. I commend them. They endorsed the two of them. I commend them for that because they saw what they advocated for. You cannot deny Vincent Arrington or Kenneth Simmons' work in technology. You can't deny it. We didn't have anybody on the board when I was there to advocate for technology until they came. When Vincent came to the board, he works for UPS in the corporate office. He's taken many students out of the district to go into the corporate office to learn and how to work and navigate through that process. Even the work that was done during COVID with the Chromebooks and getting them together and making sure all of our kids were in a technology advanced place, they were the frontliners. When you go back and look at the record, when we got back local control, their names are signed because they did the work. I was there with them when they did this work. So Paterson, please, people have said it, do your research. You don't have to listen to me. Call the district office, 973-321-0980. Ask them, I would like to see who voted on the school's budget for the last 5 years. No, let's go 8 years. The school's budget for the last 8 years. Look at the names and look what they voted for. Look for things that pertain to your children, your students, and get those records from the district office. They will send it to you. Before you vote, check the record. The record does not lie. It speaks and it stands for itself. So I'm telling you, as someone who is a mom and a grandmother and someone who's on the school board, make sure you vote for the right people, not for just vote for the right people. That's what I'm just gonna say. Vote for the right people. I respect everybody that's run. I don't have an issue with any of them. But when it comes to children, because I'm a heart advocate, I'm always advocating in the best interest of our students. Madam Clerk, to close the meeting, my vote is absolutely yes.
Thank you, Dr. Mims. Councilman Velez?
You know, when it comes to political season, like the one we have, the general election, that the Democratic Party is involved in the election, the Republican Party is involved in the election. Now they put the school board into it. And a lot of voters ignore that line. Please start from the bottom up. Now, for the parents that has kids in the schools, you know who commissioners are more involved with your students. When there are PTOs, when there are meetings, et cetera, et cetera. You know who are them being involved, with what community they have worked the most. If you feel you identify with those candidates, go ahead, vote for them. Now, I gotta say that I can't, listen, God forbid, anybody could step down out of this chambers and not serve the community in the capacity. If I stay here as a councilman, and God willing, I'm gonna stay here, dare me call my former colleague the worst councilman of this council. Dare me. No matter how many problems I had with that councilman, no matter how many disagreements I had, to say that person is the worst councilman, I'll just to make a point to vote against that person. You know where people used to be offended? You remember when Donald Trump went to Puerto Rico, started throwing toilet paper? Who remember that? In the middle of a storm, hurricane, people suffering, lost their houses, and you had Donald Trump throwing toilet paper, bounties or whatever. Now we have a candidate from the Republican Party taking soap bar, mouthwash, toothpaste, toilet paper. What do you think, that the Republicans think that we don't take showers every day? We know how to go buy them at the stores, and we got money for that. What we want of people is that they get elected and serve us right. And serve us right. That's why I'm going to vote Democrat all the way. All the way. And let me say this. People don't know this. Google the last council meeting in Clifton.
Google it.
Google it. The husband and the son jumped a constitution that came.
Try,
but for me, it's like jump. You try, you still jumping on me. You try, you still assaulting me. You try, you're gonna see me in court. But that person came to the podium and just expressing what he needs for his community. And his family jump on him. Almost jump on him, hit him, or whatever they want to put it, but it's a disgrace. That's what we want in the county clerk? No. That's what I want, But regarding the election coming up, you know who has served you better. You know what the district needs. I know that there was people the other day cursing at the council that represent the Board of Education. The next day, an article came out that our student was failing I don't know what in the state. They should be more worried about the school board, and we deal with the city municipality issues that we always deal. And but President, it is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, Madam BA, I noticed it's calling here. The heat's not working. I know, I realized it since this morning. I come into these doors. I noticed this early in the morning. The employees have been complaining it's cold, but But at the same time, I will walk downstairs about half hour ago, and I have fan pulling the air in. I don't know why. So, you know, and I don't know why it happening. This call, we should keep it closed and not let the call come in with even with fans in the first floor. So, if I know that we approved the money, the contract for the boiler is supposed to be running, up and running, even when the winter hits real good. Can we guarantee before the end of the week that this is going to be up and running and warm?
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
We
I know-
roll call,
yeah.
council members.
So-
I know, Madam BA, I will allow you to answer some questions, but please, let's finish the
All
roll
right,
call.
let me let my vote. Madam Clerk, thank you. Council President, thank you. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
Thank you, council members. Before my vote, I have two council members that they request me a minute, and it's Councilman Kalik. I will allow you and Councilman Davila. Councilman Kalik.
Yes, actually, I forgot to mention to the constituents of City of Paterson, don't forget to vote row A all the way from Senator Nelly Poe to our assemblymen and assemblywomen, also County Commissioner Orlando Cruz and Commissioner Bruce James, also our Passaic County Clerk Ireland Imhoff, Danielle Ireland Imhoff, I'm sorry. And Board of Education, we've been talking about Board of Education as well. City of Paterson, are we happy with what's going on in our Paterson Board of Education? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Even I read an article last week, state considering taking over
That's right.
the Board of Education again. Is on northjersey.com. And like I said before, do your due diligence. I'm supporting 1D, Mohammed Rashid, Joel Ramirez, 5D, and Flavio Rivera, my council colleague from previous years, 6D. He's one of the most intelligent person that I know. And I voted already, Councilman. That's the
Thank you.
statement I wanted to make.
Thank you, Councilman Davila.
So what I wanted to say is, you know, I don't take this forum to impose on anyone on what I believe, right? But I do want to say something because I do stand with row A all the way. I do. And I wanted to just make mention of that because at the end of the day, we need to have working partners. And I believe that these individuals, I have been able to work very closely with them for the last 15 years, but 10 as an elected official. So row A, all the way starting from our Senator Nelly Poe to our Assemblyman and Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter and Benji Wimberly, to our Passaic County Clerk, who is a qualified individual, all right, Danielle Ireland Imhoff, and to our two Passaic County Commissioners who, Bruce James, I mean, what can I say about his season and has been there and a big advocate on behalf of the Passaic County Board of Social Services, and then our newly, because he's appointed, he would be now elected for the first time, that is Orlando Cruz. In addition to voting row A all the way, please remember to go down and vote line D. I'm not going to indicate here who I'm going to support because my endorsement is in the streets. It's knocking on doors and making sure, which is what I've been doing for the last few months, is making sure that the candidacy of the people that I'm supporting is supported. At the end of the day, my endorsement is in the street, and some of you already know. But with that said, I'm going to leave it right now to November 7th being, because our school board is nonpartisan, okay? And right now, we're talking about partisan election on November 7th. So with that said, I just thank you so much. You know, I'll continue with my vote yes to close. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Ruby.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say also that I want to say congratulations to all the organizations, which was plenty of organizations doing Halloween for the children. There was so many different organizations, so many different spots that kids were able to come to. And I just want to say to my organization that I have with other organizations occupying Barber Park, we did an excellent job. It was really good. And I always say it's about partnership and together. We also must understand too that, you know, the more information I can find out, the more information I can share with you guys, share with you out there in the audience. And I'm gonna start stopping into the senior buildings because the anchor program that is coming out now, that's out now, I think the deadline is December, that you have to file, that you can live in subsidized housing, you can live in HUD housing, and you can apply for this money. For tenants, it's $450. For homeowners, it's $1,500. If you did not file in 2019, 2020 won't be automatic. You got to then file for 2020 if you have not filed. If you have filed, it would be in there. Also, I just want to say too, for the, even though the election is coming up, and there's so many things, you know, people can say and how they feel and how they want to feel. But I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat all my life. I try to find out about the Democrats. So we have a Row A that we must support. I mean, they're trying to take women's rights to vote away. They're trying to make it so difficult for people of color to vote. And you go, right now, people are boycotting the state of Florida. I was scheduled to go to a convention, and they said they're not going to the state of Florida because of the governor, how racist he is down there. So we're not going to the state of Florida. But I just want to say too, but remember to vote Row A on the party, and then when you get down to the Board of Ed, you know, you must. Don't believe the lies and stuff you hear out there. Like, I didn't hear about takeover, but I guess it's out there, but I didn't hear about it. Just be really careful, because it's about control. And I want to say, Council President, they've been saying for quite a long time, when we're going to have a joint meeting, and I done said it, and I'll say it again. City's not going to run good if the administration, the city council, and the Board of Ed ain't on the same page. The city is not going to run good. Madam Clerk, thank you. My vote is yes.
Mr. President.
Thank you, thank you, Councilwoman, and Councilmember. I make an exception because I know elections Tuesday. Some council member they forgot to make it that quick announcement, and I'd be just breaking the rule in that regard. So, but before I get my vote and allow the public to use the public portion, Councilman Jackson. Please.
Very quickly. So, just for a point of reference, I had a meeting with the superintendent of schools today. And I will say this to members of the public. If you don't take into consideration how serious this is, it's to your detriment. This woman basically has just looked me in the face and said she doesn't necessarily have to answer to me or the members of the public. And with that being said, Council President, I will make note that the claim is the president of their board had put out a request and sent dates, and that is the council that has not been responsive. I want to make that clear because that's what was told to me today, and relative to this joint meeting. So, but saying that, I'll make more further statements on a live session. But if you're comfortable with what you're getting, then keep voting the way you're voting. If you're comfortable with all the people that's there, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate the time, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. And just before my vote, let me just address some point. And I would like to start with the school board. That's definitely, that happened with the previous Council President, that there was not an agreement on the joint meeting. I met with, we have a conversation with the board president, so we have a couple of days on the calendar, but we're gonna wait until the election. Right after the election, let's see who gets elected, who's not. But that meeting is on the pipeline because we gotta talk about shared services agreement, the city and the school board. We gotta make sure that we work together because those are our children, our community, and we all in this together. Now, when I speak about elected officials, I have a lot of passion for politics. I love to serve the community, but I like to see elected officials that are connected with the people. And talking about Halloween yesterday, I stopped by STEAM Academy. Who was the person that I saw there doing a phenomenal job for the kid? Assemblyman Benji Wimberly. He was there at the STEAM Academy with a phenomenal event. And also he'd been at Eastside Park with great event. You see Assemblyman Benji Wimberly everywhere in the city of Paterson. So he's doing the work. And he got my full support to make sure that people re-elect our assemblyman. Now, this past Saturday, there was a very important function. Who was there? Our great Senator Nellie Poe. She always in the community. She got my full support. Now, when I have questions about Trento, about government, there's one person that I always call, and she always take time to sit down with me at the IHOP at Center City Mall, and that's our very own Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter. She's been my mentor for many years. She's been my constituent. She lives in the Third Ward, and she got my full support. Those are the elected officials that I see working in the community. So I'm not only going to say row A all the way this Tuesday. I'm going to say vote for those candidates because they really care about the community. They're out there, and they're the one that you see taking action every time, every day. Also, when I have an issue with Passaic County Tech, Bruce James, you call and he always pick up the phone. He's a gentleman. He should get reelected. So once again, Paterson, this Tuesday, row A from the top to bottom. I serve also at the Board of Education for 2 terms. Like I say, my endorsement is going to be out there in the community doing the work, but I don't like when people bash a former elected official. Councilman Flavio Rivera, he was a good council member, and I hope he get reelected at the school board. When I left at the school board, I served 2 terms at the Paterson Board of Education. And the election is a non-partisan election, so I'm not going to get into the candidate. I will go out there and do my work, but I would like to encourage the community to please pay attention to the school board. We have a lot of issues. We have over $700 million budget. We got to make sure that that money gets directly into the classroom. And we put a big fight with TJ Best and other former board members to regain local control. And we got to stay with the control in the city of Paterson. So with that being said, members of the public, let me inform to all the Third Ward residents that our town hall meeting is going to be Monday, November the 13th at STEAM Academy, 784 11th Avenue. We're going to have the officer in charge, Isa Abasi, having a conversation about public safety. How we're going to keep our community safe. Holidays are coming, they're around the corner. We need police presence in our neighborhood. Let's have that conversation with the officer in charge, Isa Abasi, this coming Monday, the 13th at 6 p.m. at the STEAM Academy, 784 11th Avenue. Also, I'm requesting, Madam BA, the DPW Director, Billy, to be there. Recycling also as well. So let's have a dialogue with the community this Monday the 13th. Once again, congratulations to all the organizers for the Halloween, all the Halloween events throughout the city. Beautiful, phenomenal. I was in the 6th Ward, in the 3rd Ward, so around the city by the police department. Phenomenal job. I want to say thank you to all the residents of the city of Paterson to enjoy this event like brothers and sisters, because that's what we are, one community. So once again, we finished with the budget, and I feel very pleased about the progress that we're making in the 3rd Ward. Since I became the councilman of the 3rd Ward is much better. We repaved so many roads on the Riverside section, the East Side section, East Side Park, state-of-the-art, repaved the whole park, state-of-the-art tennis court. Yeah, Riverside, totally brand new baseball field. So we have done the work, the community, they see the work, and I'm just gonna continue serving the residents of the great city of Paterson. To all my 3rd Ward residents, if you have a question, please reach out to me, 973-930-1436. Last but not least, Madam BA, recycling, the leaf, there's a lot of bag of leaf in the 3rd Ward. They way behind with the recycling. Make sure they pay attention to that. Get in contact with the recycling department tomorrow, because we need to serve our residents. So with that being said, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The votes are 8 yeses, 1 absent. The special meeting is hereby adjourned.
Thank you. So now, thank you, Paterson. Good night. We finished with our special meeting. So let's wait.